Opening a new business can be a scary thing, especially in today's current atmosphere. Joining us today on Newsmakers is Doug Hunt, Director of Entrepreneurship at Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce, to talk about some new chamber programs coming to the area. Thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here, as always.
Yeah, so talk about these new programs. They're called accelerator programs. What is that?
Well, a few months ago, we had a local banker contact us about a program that we learned about called Heartland Forward. And Heartland Forward is a program that is supported by the Walton Foundation, the Walton family in Northwest Arkansas. And they have teamed up with Builders and Backers, which is a program that applicants, once they are selected, can go through a program that helps accelerate their ideas, their business ideas. So this is something that we're pretty excited about, and Joplin is the smallest community in the nation that has been selected to participate in the program. So we're excited about it.
Does it have anything to do with proximity to Northwest Arkansas?
That's a good question. I don't think so. However, I do know that they're focused on the heartland, thus the name. And I think Northwest Arkansas, as much as we look at them and see their growth, they also look toward the north and see the strategic location that we're in that can help Northwest Arkansas. So I think that could play into it somewhat, but whatever the case is, we welcome the collaboration.
Yeah, that sounds like a good deal to be selected. So what exactly is the program? What does it entail?
It's a great question. The program itself is a 12-week intense online learning program that any business that has, or entrepreneur that has an idea can apply. If you just go to the Joplin Chamber website, joplincc.com, or follow us on social media, you follow the link and then apply. And it can be somebody that maybe they don't have a business plan, they just have an idea. And they are willing to commit 2 or 3 hours a week into a training program in the evening. And professionals that have been hired that are through the Builders and Backers program guides them through the entire process of what you need to do to set up a business. So it's not an overlap of services like that's provided for the Small Business Development Center. It's actually, it augments and supports that in a lot of ways. So even if somebody doesn't have a business plan, but they've always thought, I have an idea, this is a perfect candidate for that.
How about that? So is it like, or does it go hand in hand with the incubator at Joplin Chamber?
It very well could. It's not part of the program per se, but because we have a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem in Joplin, if somebody goes through the program and they are selected for what's called a Pebble grant, which is $5,000, then that enables them to move their idea to the next level. So if they get to that point and they need additional resources, everybody that goes through that program in the various cities throughout the heartland, then they can tap into their own entrepreneurial ecosystem. And of course, we've got that with the Joseph Newman Innovation Center and the Advanced Training and Technology Center.
Wow, so it's like just a big package deal, basically. You can do everything all at that beginner level.
Yes, it is.
Well, who runs the Heartland Forward? What is it, their own business, or what are they?
Heartland Forward is part of the Walton Family Foundation.
Okay.
So they have a myriad of things that they do to satisfy all of their goals in philanthropy, and one of those things is to support entrepreneurship and communities that are fostering entrepreneurship through their own ecosystems, or to help them establish their own ecosystem. It's very similar to what the Kauffman Foundation is doing, because they too are focused on entrepreneurship, and to have them right in our backyard and doing this as well, it's a great thing.
And I looked at the Heartland Forward website, and they've got some pretty big, like, heavy hitters on their board that
they do
run them. The Walton, there's several people that work for the Walton company, I guess.
Right.
And then people from all over the country.
Yes.
That have a myriad of experience, probably in all types of businesses.
They do, and that's what is so beautiful about the collaboration and the system that they've put together with not only Builders and Backers as a third party to complement what they're doing, but the interesting thing about the Walton Family Foundation is if they reach out to somebody to do collaboration, the odds of that individual or organization saying no is pretty slim. Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, I attended the Heartland Forward convention and in Bentonville, and it was interesting because they had panel discussions on stage, and there were some pretty big names up there. J.P. Morgan Bank, the JP himself was up there, and I was talking to somebody next to me, and I said, probably if whoever in the United States is invited to participate in this, I doubt anybody says no. Sure. So, and that holds true with what they're wanting to do with being focused on helping entrepreneurs or anybody with a business idea. Mm-hmm.
And is there a cost to the program? Does somebody have to pay anything to get into it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. To the end user, it's free. For us as a chamber, there's a participation fee that through our economic development efforts and through sponsorships, we pay that to participate in the program. But for anybody that has an idea or a business idea, it's totally free to them. So it's a great thing. So if anybody has an idea for a business, it cannot hurt to go through this program, because even if you're not selected for a Pebble grant, the education that you gain from that and the level of expertise from so many high-level professionals is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, so if somebody's weighing the cost versus benefit analysis of doing something like this, there's really no downside to it for them, especially if they're just starting out.
There's an old saying that's like skin in the game.
Right.
Have some skin in the game, or sweat equity. If somebody's truly serious about wanting to start a business and they have that entrepreneurial spirit, even if they're limited on funds, but they have a great idea, if you have the discipline and the intestinal fortitude to make your schedule work so that you can be part of a program like this, that's honestly the first step. It's a discipline thing. And that discipline carries through even after you launch a business.
Yeah.
8 to 5 means nothing when you're running a business.
And you know that. You were a business owner. So you also have another accelerated program called the Startup 360. What's that?
Well, that's something I'm very proud of. That's something in my role at the Chamber as Director of Entrepreneurship. I have come up with this on my own thoughts, and it's basically to do a Reader's Digest version, if you will, of what the Heartland Forward campaign is. And that idea is for us to reach out to anybody in the community. They don't have to be chamber members, but maybe they've got a business idea and they don't know where to start. And it would be it's going to be a half-day program, and this would be designed for anybody that maybe they've worked in manufacturing, or maybe they've been at home for a while and they want to step back into the working world, but they don't want to step into a corporate W-2 position. Maybe they have a business idea and they don't know what to do next. So it's an onboarding stop that is very similar to what the SBDC does, and everything, and to showcase everything that we have in the not only the incubators, but in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, just to make them aware of it, and to talk about fundamentals like an outline, a business plan, an executive summary. Have you done your market research? That type of thing.
Like if you were going to present to, say, a banking institution, you need to have all these things buttoned up in order to get your startup money, if that's what you're going for.
It is, and one of the ways I explain this particular program to individuals is that if I had to hone into who the target is that we would go after, let's say there's somebody working second or third shift at whatever company or manufacturing plant, and they're really skilled at woodworking, say, and they on their off time, they're building furniture, and they've got a small group of people that absolutely love what they do, and it's like a side hobby or a side hustle. What we want to do is show individuals like that everything that's available to them right now, that if they wanted to make the leap and grow that into a substantial business with channels like e-commerce and networking through the chamber, we want them to be aware of that. One of the greatest things that keeps people from starting a business is fear. And I understand that.
For sure.
Even when in the beginning, when I started my first business, I'm not sure I can articulate the level of fear that I was processing. Because over here was like a really easy thing, just go get a job
Right.
for that steady income. And even back then, none of these systems were in place. And, I started with a couple of colleagues, and we had a $39 folding table and 4 folding chairs and a landline phone, and we had a high-speed DSL. And the rest of the office was empty, but it was ours, and we started. And not that anybody can't just go out and do it on their own, but economic development focus in a lot of ways has realized that entrepreneurs are what's driving the new job growth right now.
Yeah.
That's why our chamber and the foundation has made such a commitment into this entrepreneurial ecosystem. And even today, I get people that don't realize all of the resources available to them. So that's why we want to go out into the community, come on your show, and talk to people about, if you're thinking about starting a business, it does not cost you anything to come in and visit with us, so we can show you everything that's available to you.
And that's so important because, like you said, fear of the unknown
Yeah.
is, like huge.
And that doesn't go away after you start your business
Right.
either.
Especially in today's economy.
Right.
So this program can also give somebody maybe reasons not to start a particular business, right? They provide market research. Is this something that they've seen fail in the past? Like, it can do that as well.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I focus on, because if somebody's not ready to start a business, they need to be aware of that too. They may realize that they have a lot of preliminary work that they've got to get done before they decide to start their business. And even in my role, when I've done this one-on-one with meeting some people, there have been a couple people that have just kind of had that aha moment and thought, I need to do this, this, and this before I get started. So it's not that we're trying to keep them from starting their business, but the whole focus of this is, we know there's a high percentage of new businesses that fail. I want that number to go down. So when you launch, do it correctly and mitigate as much threat and risk as you possibly can. And that's something our community can be proud of, is that over the last decade and a half, that Joplin has made a real commitment to entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I mean, how to run a business and the idea of a business are two totally different things. Like, you can have a great idea, but putting it into action. And so that's what they learn through these programs.
That's exactly right.
And so do they give them, as part of the program, Heartland Forward or Startup 360, do they provide marketing or ways to market? How does that work?
The details of what Heartland Forward does, I'm not privy to.
Okay.
I do know that when we launch our Startup 360 program, we will touch on all of that. Because a lot of people may not know what the evolution of advertising and marketing has been over the last 5 or 10 years. I still talk to people that think that it costs $10,000 to $20,000 to start an e-commerce store online, and that's not the case anymore. Things are changing so quickly. So individuals with an idea need to be aware of the latest information so that they can make that proper decision and not be making assumptions that feed their fear.
Right. Now, does this have, or I guess, is this part of the new gig economy where people are just doing job after job, like driving for Uber or driving for DoorDash? Is that part of it? Or?
No, not really. But one thing, there's a couple of ways I'm going to answer that. That's kind of fascinating because we are in a great paradigm shift right now. So you've got the idea of an entrepreneur that says, hey, I've got an idea, I'm going to start my business. But it's also a environment where employees rather, have more flexibility than they ever have. So there's remote working. Many of the things that you just spoke about. I read an article in Forbes where a single mom with 3 kids is doing Uber, and she fits it in when she can, and she absolutely loves it because everything else had a schedule if she went to a job somewhere. And it's pretty amazing. And last week I was on vacation, and one thing struck me. I mean, I try to think outside the box when it comes to being an entrepreneur, but I've been doing it for so long that it's hard to do that.
Sure.
So for example, I was on the train going into Chicago and on the Amtrak, and the snack car had not opened yet. They were about 30 minutes delayed. So I walked downstairs, and the gentleman running the snack car said, "I'm sorry, we're way understaffed. I'll be ready in about 5 minutes. Feel free to have a seat." And so I did, and I said, "Well, that's okay. Everybody's understaffed right now." So I said that from the perspective of somebody starting a business trying to find help.
Sure.
And what his reply to me kind of put me in my place, although he had no ill intentions. He said, quote, "It's a great time for employees right now."
For sure.
And that really settled with me. And I thought, you know what, it is. There's more flexibility. So that's why, totally off from Startup 360, but the Chamber, we're actually doing tomorrow a retention and recruiting program, because I've taken a lot of calls from people that's just having a hard time finding and keeping help or getting people to move into the area. So we're going to have a 90-minute program where people can come in and we can show them how to market Joplin. Here are the tools available to you. Here's some of the things you need to highlight. Just don't sit down and interview somebody and say, "This is what it pays, here are your responsibilities." People, especially the younger generation now, they may ask all those pertinent questions, but they may also want to know, how long does it take for me to get my kayak in the water?
Right.
How many miles of bike trails do you have?
Right.
All of that is quality of life. So as we educate our employers to be dovetailing that into their conversations during interviews, that's a powerful thing that can help them as well.
Yeah, because I think that what I see a lot of people in business that have been doing it for a while, they have the old mindset of, well, your thank you is your paycheck, rather
Right.
than you get extra days off, or let's increase your pay, or let's, come with some flexibility in scheduling. So they have to look at it from a new perspective as well.
They do.
It's not our grandpa's economy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And those that do will survive and thrive. It's like the quote, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." So that has to apply for employers and business owners. And part of the success is getting a team together that gets the bigger vision and has an emotional attachment to that and can see what the overall goal is for the company. Right. Because if somebody's just coming in to punch a clock and you're paying them for their time, you may get a task done, but will your company ever resonate at that superior level that will create buzz marketing in the community for how you treat customers?
Yeah,
clients.
word of mouth matters in everything, especially. And the thing that strikes me, speaking of quotes, is the quote, "It takes a village." We say that about kids, it takes a village to raise a kid, but in this instance, it takes a village to raise business.
It does.
And continue to keep it growing.
It really does. And it's not just the structure that we put together through the Chamber with the entrepreneurial ecosystem. It is collaboration among those new businesses. So if you do a Google search, or if you wanted to key in some algorithms and you wanted to find out more about business incubators, the common denominator, the most common word among all of them is collaboration. So we have all of these systems and programs in place, but once new businesses get into an incubator, a beautiful thing happens where they all organically start communicating and collaborating with each other. So they start talking about business insurance. They start talking to each other about, the best communication cell phone plan for small business, and they really help each other. And it does take a village.
Yeah. Well, so who are the partners involved with the accelerator programs? Do we have local companies that help sponsor this, or how does that work?
We do. We've got, for example, we've got sponsorships to bring the Heartland Forward program together. For Startup 360, we don't have any sponsorships yet. I don't know that we really need to do that. Sure. If we do, or honestly, somebody may come to us and say, we want to sponsor that because we've got individuals that have expertise in this and this, I'd be open to that. But otherwise, it's just a commitment of our time as a chamber to deliver everything we possibly can to help somebody get up and running. But yeah, the chamber's open to partnerships and collaboration all the time on projects.
Well, and what do you think, I guess, or what are you hearing in our Joplin area community about the business or the economy at this point? There's everyday stories about inflation and supply chain disruptions. How is that resonating in our area? Do you see that?
Oh yeah, definitely. And we're not immune to it, but it's nationwide.
Right.
I think sometimes we can get lost in our own bubble or our own silo. But the issue of recruiting, retention, all of those things, this is a nationwide issue that everybody's dealing with. And that's why we're doing our retention and recruiting campaign and program, because potential employees are savvy now, and everybody can do a Google search and find out information. But across the board, it's a challenge everywhere, and we're doing everything we can to address it. To your other question about the economy, yes, it's a stressful time for businesses, and that's why you have to be on point constantly with everything you're doing, your strategy, your business plan, your systems and processes, just looking at things that you can do to streamline what you're doing.
Yeah, and some of the information in the news release that you all sent out was, it talked about solving problems in the community. What problems, or are there problems that you see Joplin needs solved?
For Heartland Forward, you
Yes.
mean? Yeah. Part of the criteria for the applicants, and it doesn't have to be this, but they put an emphasis on, is there an issue in your community that you have an idea that would solve that issue as a viable business? So what's interesting, rather than us articulate what we perceive what some of those are, we're putting the application out there because people that are in the community and in areas that we, or all of us as individuals, may not be aware of, there may be somebody out there that says, hey, this is a challenge, here's my solution to it. So that's why we want everybody to come to the table. I think that some of the challenges that we face is, in this market, is not enough people know about us. I mean, we're working hard on that, and we're doing a great job with the Choose Joplin campaign. And when I say Joplin, I'm talking about the greater region of McCann. And the more people that hear about us, the more they think, wow, I didn't realize you had all that going for you. So we just got to keep doing more of that.
Yeah, and that's hard for somebody like me and you, probably, who have lived here for a really long time. We're like, how did you not know?
Right.
But I get it that not everybody pays attention to news articles and stories, and especially now, people, it's hard to get them focused for a half an hour to watch a program like this one that you have to sit and watch for a half an hour.
But people are looking, and that's why housing prices have spiked up so much in the last year across the board, but especially here. People are remote working, so they can take equity out of their house and, you know, in the coastal cities and come here and really get a great home for what the value is. And 2 weeks ago, we had a family, two couples, mom and dad, and then either their son or daughter and their spouse. And they were driving across the country touring the Midwest cities because they live in California, and they have decided to move to the Midwest.
Wow.
And they decided that Joplin was on one of their lists. So it's funny, Reggie and I and Melissa at the front desk, we just loved on them for about 30 minutes. And I think the thing that they were so fascinated by is how quickly you could get to the country.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
And that there's everything available to everybody, from hunting and fishing and farming, and be downtown within 20 minutes. But they just lit up when I told them about Grand Falls.
Oh gosh, it's so pretty.
So I gave them directions, and we haven't heard back from them. But yeah, people are looking, and that's why we're telling our story as best we can.
Yeah, the housing market is so tight right now.
People
are buying and then renting, or renting out the house they just bought.
Right.
They haven't actually moved. They just want to own property here.
And it's a catch-22 because we know that we have a housing shortage. We both, everybody in the community that's involved in economic development, deep down in our gut, we know that if we could magically bring a subdivision online with 1,000 homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, within 30 days, all of them would be sold because people are looking for places in the Midwest. But by the same token, home builders are a little bit reluctant because of the costs that are fluctuating and those types of things too. So it's all across the board.
Yeah, and it's sort of like in the pit of my stomach, a little sickening to think about if I'm a contractor and I have to build this house and I said I could build it for this and now I have to build it for this. I mean, that's got to be a hard conversation to have. And
It is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's free markets and capitalism. There's always a hot potato.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
don't want to get caught holding that.
So you talk about builders and backers
Yeah.
with the Heartland program. What are those?
They are a standalone company or organization that runs people through the program that have an idea for business. And what they did is either the Walton Family Foundation found them or the other way around, but they have just decided that that is the best conduit for them, the Walton Family Foundation, to take the concept of entrepreneurship and just rely on them because they're up and running and doing it. So Heartland Forward could have like hired all those people and duplicated what they were doing, but they knew to bring it to market in this area as quickly as possible. They just wanted to team up with them.
Do you see a lot of people from our area like trending south towards the Arkansas line or in the Arkansas area? Is that the direction we're going rather than north towards Kansas City? Or is it just kind of...
That's an excellent question. And honestly, I mean, I think a lot of people from outside the area are trending toward Northwest Arkansas, but I also see some mid-level management folks and some people that are in Northwest Arkansas moving north.
Right.
Especially now with the new highway.
Oh, yeah. It's so fast to get there.
Oh, Bella Vista was plotted out like in the 60s.
Right.
So you've got plots of land west of Bella Vista that are all grown up, and the asphalt road that they built, maybe it's only 3 feet wide now because trees have grown in it. So we've gone 4 decades with no development. Right. All of those are being cleared off now because it has been plotted.
Yeah.
And houses are going up like crazy because you can get on an exit on Interstate 49, which is now the bypass, and be in Joplin in 40 minutes or be in Northwest or Bentonville within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible.
It's moving north.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and talk about these accelerator programs. They sound like a great deal for businesses.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited about it.
Well, great. I want to thank Doug Hunt with Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce for coming on and talking about the new accelerator programs. And if you have any questions, you can contact the Chamber. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Copeland Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.